is an emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived. Emergency. Queen's Quest arrived.
Down to the queens.
Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside of the gender spectrum, and welcome back to Stardom Quest, the best weekly Stardom podcast anywhere in the world. I'm, as always, Alex, and I'm joined by Dylan. Hi, Dylan.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Um, I haven't. It's funny because I've been watching a lot of. It feels like I haven't watched much wrestling lately, but it's just because like I've been kind of worn out of wrestling, and I've been watching a lot of wrestling, and it just goes in one ear and out the other, or one eye and out the other. Like I watched that
Yeah,
entire Sendai show. I remember the main event.
that wasn't a great
That's about
show.
it.
I won't lie to you. It
No,
was not
no. I thought I
spectacular.
thought the I thought the main event was great, but like other
Yes.
than that, I was just like, oh, okay. Like I you could ask me anything about any of those matches except for I just not really. Mika Iwata didn't hit hard enough. That was my entire note of the first
Yeah,
5 matches of the card. And other than that, it's just and wrestling's been good this weekend. That's the crazy thing. But
it was all right.
we're here.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Head on over, check out the 5starnetwork.co for all of the articles and podcasts from the wonderful world of pro wrestling. I was recently on a recording for Puro Gems. Peps was nice enough to not make me talk about Puro, so it was a Joshi
What
special.
did you guys talk about? Oh, okay,
We did the Seedling Korkin, the Ice Ribbon Korkin, the Sendai show. We did Ozaki versus Mio. We kind of just talked about everything from the Joshi scene over the past month because basically everybody had a big show. So we did everything bar Stardom and TJPW because they're not really the indies.
Yep.
Beyond me and Dylan, some of our other network colleagues, I guess you could call them. That's a weird thing to call people.
Some of our friends.
Yeah, from Dramatic Dream Dragons, they got to interview
Yeah.
DDT champion Chris Brooks, which is absurd, and that went up.
It's awesome.
That went up today. So if you want to hear Chris Brooks talk about kind of all the cool stuff to do with DDT and everything like that, check that out because he seemed really up for it. Like his tweet made it seem like he was just super happy to be on there and chat about everything.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Obviously we had Sandre on the show a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. And he told me that was in the works after we recorded, and I was just so excited for him and for just the show in general
Yeah.
for the network because that's just awesome. Because Chris Brooks is dope. Like, Gaijins in Japan, as you can tell by how we talk about them sometimes, are very hit or miss. But I think Chris Brooks in DDT is like such a perfect fit, and it's just awesome to get like a good. I just think that's an awesome situation that they got to have him on and everything. Now we gotta get Mariah May on, even though she only has like a month and a half or two or whatever.
See,
To
I
still
feel
get,
like we're never gonna get
yeah.
anybody because like Stardom
No.
simply does not like us, which I don't blame them.
Oh no,
I
like,
don't blame them
and
at
it's
all.
not even just like an us thing. They very much are like very, like, because I was actually talking to Scott about it. That it's like, well, if we were to ever do this, because like I was like, oh, like, of course, as soon as somebody else does something cool, I also want to do it. If
Of course.
I'm immature like that. Um, but like I was talking to Scott about it. I was like, man, any contracted wrestler ever to Stardom is like we are a no fly zone type of thing. Um, so it's like like someone like Tekla, that ain't happening. And Mariah May is presumably leaving within a few weeks, and that leaves nobody.
Megan Bain.
So
Megan
like,
Bain in character. Let's go. That's definitely
oh my
all
god,
she
I
would
would be
do.
so
She would
uncomfortable.
only do
I
in
would be
character.
so
I just
uncomfortable,
know
bro.
it. Like I can sense it. She would never do an interview out of character.
Oh
So
no. No, that's also something that I was talking to Scott about. He's like, I don't think I've ever seen an out of character interview for Megan Bain, so that would be very, very
yeah,
interesting. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to
no,
do that. I'm
no.
scared.
I don't want to do interviews anyway.
But
That's
yeah,
not my bag. I'm
oh, I
just here
love
to
interviews.
talk. I talk and you listen and we entertain sometimes. So, But
Yeah.
anyway,
But yeah, shouts out to Dramatic Dream
it's
Dragons, and also the ACH show I've been talking about for like 3 weeks should be up today, or yesterday when you guys are hearing this. I was talking to Doc, and he said that it was going to be up
sounds good. All
today.
right.
So yeah, check that out on the YouTube, Five Star Network YouTube, and all
Yeah,
that.
shout out ACH. I know he's always been important to you. Like
Yes.
even since I first met you, you were like, "Dude, I
Oh, I
love ACH," and
love
I was
that
like, "Oh,
guy.
he's cool," and you were like, "No, I love ACH," and I was like, "All right then."
No, you don't get
Okay.
it.
um,
Oh yeah, me and you don't understand. Me and Xavier like went on like a 20-minute rant about how the Super J Cup 2020 ruined our enjoyment of New Japan for like
yeah,
years, because that was the year that they like teased ACH going back to Japan, and then El Phantasma won, and ACH never wrestled in New Japan again. Um, and like we talked about how much it like infuriates us to this day, uh, that situation.
it's
So
fine.
yeah, we love ACH. You guys should go check that out because it'll be fun to listen to. I
All
hope.
right. Now, in the world of Stardom, we have had a bit of news. First thing is that Natsu Samira has come to an agreement with Stardom to co-host her 10th anniversary show called Decade of Queens. This is in Shinjuku Face on where's today? October 18th. 18th,
18th.
yeah. And so there's
Yeah.
two matches announced for this, and it seems like they might be the only two matches. The first is Natsu Sumire, Rina Yamashita, and Kaho Kobayashi versus Takumi Iroha, Saki Akai, and Azumi. So I believe the through line there is they all debuted in 2013. Even though I thought Rina
Yeah.
Yamashita had been around for longer, but that's pretty cool.
No, I
No,
don't think
probably
so.
not. And then we have Veni versus Utami Hayashishita, just out there. Now,
Insane.
I don't know if we're gonna see this because the Jumbo Forever show obviously has never popped up anywhere, not Wave, not Stardom. Um, what gives me slight hope is this is being more promoted as Stardom X Natsu, whereas the Jumbo Forever show was more like Bushiroad Fight with Wave. So I don't know if that means it's more likely we're going to see it. I don't know if it's less likely.
Yeah.
I'm just not confident it's going to
The
air.
Oh man, I'm forgetting his name. Who's the guy who does English for DDT?
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I cannot. I don't know the name.
Uh, him. Good brother that does English stuff for DDT. Also does like interviews and helps with Nomads. Was saying that he is doing his best to get this streamed to
Nice.
American
Okay.
viewers. Um, So, because he tweeted about like 2 months ago, he's like, nobody do anything that can harm or take you away from your computer screen until October, because there's something crazy about to happen. And it was the Utami versus Veni match. So, he said that he's trying to get somehow to try to figure that out, but that gives me more hope than like an absence of hope, because somebody is at least like looking for that. And yeah, so hopefully we
Yeah.
get to see it. Veni and Utami is a
Oh, it's
crazy
it's
match, by the way. Like
absurd.
just on paper.
Um. Oh, it's Haku-san,
Like
Mr.
I remember
Haku.
they went on like
That's the
yeah,
name we're
Haku.
thinking.
I thought it was Haku.
Yeah.
I just didn't know for sure. And I didn't want to misname him. But yeah, Haku was talking about that. He also got the 666 show streamed for the
Oh
first time
yes. Yeah.
ever to American audiences. So it's like, not saying he has pull, but if anybody's gonna, you know, figure that out, try to get that through,
Yeah.
it's him. So I'm somewhat confident, not overly confident, but
Yeah, and I mean,
hopefully.
here's the thing. This is a produce show. It's money for Natsu. You're gonna make more money streaming this internationally because people are gonna buy for Veni versus
Yeah.
Utami. So I don't see why you wouldn't stream it. But I'm hesitant after the Jumbo Forever fiasco. Uh, we still wait to this day.
It's so messed up because that
It's,
looked like such a fun show.
it did.
Like that's painful.
It's lost media, lost art, um, which I'm kind of used to as a Joshi fan. um, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
that show. We've had another show announcement. We had the first card for Nagoya Golden Fight 2023, The Miracle of Kinsachi in the Aichi Dolphins Arena. No surprise here, Tam is defending the red belt on this show, and Nagoya is basically her.
that's
Yeah,
her
it's
home.
basically
Yeah,
hers.
that's her hometown. That arena
Yeah,
is her
like
home
this is her
arena.
turf. So
Yeah.
he is defending the World of Stardom Championship against Natsuko Tora. So tournament favorite
Oh
Natsuko
my god.
Tora. is
the
no
fuck are
longer
we
a
doing
tournament
right now?
favorite, Natsuko Tora.
Is
That is
out of the tournament.
incredible. We also have a Goddess of Stardom championship match. Natsupoi and Suri Ano defending against Azumi and Utami Hayashishita. Speaking of tournament favorites, Utami Hayashishita losing another title match.
Yeah.
Sure. We have
And also, when is the show?
October. No, is it? Yeah, October 9th.
It would be
October
October.
9th.
Yeah, that's Azumi's. That's Azumi's 10th anniversary. So, or like a day or two removed.
Right.
Let me check again. It's 3 days after her 10th
Okay.
anniversary. So I'm not saying that they're going to win.
Oh, no, they're not at all.
It would make sense
Yeah,
if they did,
maybe.
but also, yeah, Utami losing another. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And Azumi, losing a day after her anniversary, her 10th anniversary is also crazy.
We have a high-speed championship match. Saki Kashima defends against Mei Seira. And then we have a UWF rules match.
Yay.
Siri versus Mina Shirakawa. What
Okay.
a card already. Some interesting decisions. Yeah.
Man, we're gonna get into that promo with Mina and Shuri, even though it wasn't translated.
I will say, my only slight hope is that this was meant to be Azumi and Saya, and they just plugged Utami in, because Azumi and Saya would make sense teaming together. So I don't know if that was meant to be Saya.
Well, I mean, if Saya was meant to
I don't
win the
believe that for
tournament,
a second.
then probably
I
not.
really don't. But who knows?
I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah. So that's that. And then we had another announcement. We have New Blood West 1. So they've decided to breathe some new life into New Blood by expanding it west.
Not
Not
really.
at all. And so they're running in the Hiroshima Sun Plaza on November 17th. I think.
Oh, that's in
Yeah.
Hiroshima? I thought it was Osaka. I saw it. I
Did
guess
say
I read something
Osaka
wrong somewhere.
on the Twitter, but it is in the Hiroshima Sun
Okay.
Plaza. So
Yeah, the fine thing is about Japanese about Japanese geography is that it's like when I think of Western Japan, I think of like countryside Japan. But what they're talking about is just, oh, the other place that they run that isn't Tokyo. Like I was like so confused because when I heard that, I was like, oh, are they going to like, I don't want to say the middle of nowhere, but like some of the smaller towns for New Blood. That's an interesting choice. But no, they're just going to like Hiroshima and Osaka. And I was like, that doesn't
yeah,
okay. I guess that's different.
good. At first, no, I watched this after, and
Alex, I cannot hear you, just so you know. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, then yeah, okay.
am I here? I am here. Okay, that's
You
great.
are here. Yes.
So anyway, when I saw New Blood West, and they just showed the video, they didn't name a location or anything. I was like, I could see somebody going, "Oh, they're doing it in America," which would have been really silly. But yeah, I did at first. I was like, do they mean?
They gotta fly over
Yeah,
Kazunatsunaka and
like
Moran to
West as in
America.
international, and they were like, no, Western Japan, which makes sense because they have said for a long time they want to expand in Japan westward. So I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Which they've been doing. Like this 5-star has been pretty all over
Yes,
the
yeah,
map of Japan.
and Grand Prix
For
strats,
better or for
big
worse.
time.
Yeah. Shouts out. Love
Yes.
Japan.
But that is all the news from the recent world of Stardom. It's time to get into the review
Well,
section.
there's been a lot of news
Has there?
otherwise. Eh,
You went from
it's
there's a lot of news to well, maybe I don't know.
well, I don't know how much we want to talk about the
Oh,
boards.
well, why not? It is Sunny. I mean, he knows more. Yeah, well,
Exactly. Also Skiban or
Sukuban. Oh
Skaban,
yeah, dude,
so
that
dope.
is a
So excited.
strange
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah. Isn't it Ske
I
like
have
was
no
like
idea.
Shinsuke? Skaban? I don't know. That's how I pronounce
I
it
feel
because
like
I
there is
you know.
a U sound in Skay. We just skip over it. Um, yeah.
Suke. Skip. Yeah, I guess
Anyway,
so.
take it away.
Oh, the boards. So I didn't know, like people have been like informing me. Like I talked to Peps. Like Peps texted me like this long chain of things of what Suddy has said on the boards. Basically, the biggest piece of news, outside news that we kind of knew, but he just kind of decided to confirm for some reason, is that Giulia is working quite hurt at the moment. She has a tailbone injury that is making it so she can't really even walk lately, let alone wrestle at the peak of her abilities. So that's concerning. Um, Obviously, I don't talk to Sonny, so I didn't get his elaboration on that. Uh, but that's the biggest piece. Other than that, it's like, oh, like Mariah was supposed to win the white belt, but Mina got in the way because that's everybody
Yeah.
knew that. That's exactly it. Yeah. There's some stuff like that that they're meant to bring the SWA belt back, but then like Bushra kind of just said no. That was another thing. But yeah,
The
that's
SWA
some
thing
news
was
from the sheets. I think the biggest thing is
infuriating. I was like,
definitely.
why? Like, what
Oh,
do you mean? You
100%.
just didn't bring it back? Like, just
It's very upsetting because, and we talked about constantly, that's like this company needs that mid
yes.
card belt,
Well, technically,
and
they've
the
given
SWA
us a
belt is
third
perfect for
belt
that.
with this strong women's title, but we meant one that people can
But
win,
that's not a mid card
one that
belt.
somebody could win.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
not only one that somebody can, one that people can challenge for at this rate. Because like who, like Risa, Sarah, and you being the first two
yeah,
challengers in
Stardom
Japan
home
is like an
army, Stephanie
interesting.
Vakir, Stardom regular.
Yeah, like I don't know what's going on on that front. Like it feels very strange. Um, the SWA belt needs, or just give me like another
Yeah.
undercard belt. Like if you don't want to do the
I
SWA
feel
belt,
like we
fine.
don't. I
Just
feel like we
replace it
shouldn't
with
redo
something.
this, but yes, we would like the
Okay, yeah,
belt.
no, I know, I know.
But yeah, that was a bit weird.
The bigger thing is the Julia being
Yeah,
involved.
I mean, I feel like that made sense if you watched any of her matches this past weekend. You'd be like, hmm, that's not the full tilt Julia. So hopefully
Yeah,
she just makes it to the Mercedes.
especially just like in terms of
Yes, that
bumps.
too.
Like, cause like she could still like hit hard, but like she's not really. She's kind of Minoru bumping. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Kind of Suzuki bumping type
Hopefully
of
she
fight.
can make it to the Mercedes money match, which is going to happen eventually. But who knows? But yeah, that is all the stuff from Stardom. We'll probably touch on any other little stuff anyway as we go along. The first show to review was on September 2nd. This was Starverse Presents 5-Star GP 2023, supported by SoftBank Fukuyama Tournament. This was in the Hiroshima Prefectural Fukuyama Industrial Exchange Center Big Rose in front of 408 fans.
What a
Um,
name.
yeah, this show went up earlier today. I think Stardom World was doing maintenance on like Monday and Tuesday, so they couldn't get this up because people were having trouble accessing it. So that's probably why this only went up today, despite the show being on Saturday.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wasn't able to watch everything. I was right up against the clock, but I did see 3 of the 4 GP matches in the opener to this show. And we should say both of these shows were kind of torn to shreds because first FWC and then Hanako were pulled from.
Yeah.
Hanako was on this one, but she was pulled from the next one. FWC were pulled from both, so everything kind of got torn to shreds. In our opener, Starlight Kid beat Tekla with the Black Tiger Leg Destroyer in 8.5 minutes.
Is that singles?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that happened.
Same. The next match was Tam Nakano and Yuna Mizumori beating Miyo Masaki and Lady C. Tam got the win over Lady C in 5 minutes with a Violet shooting. I haven't seen her win with that in a while. Um,
Poor Lady C.
yeah,
Wait, against Lady over
Lady
Lady C,
C.
not
Yeah,
Miyu. That's
I know.
rough to lose to like the 7-year-old
Hmm.
finish that doesn't beat people now. Not seven,
Crazy.
like 4. Still, poor Lady C.
The match after that was Mei Sarah, Suzu Suzuki, and
Oh wow.
Maika beating Megan Bain, Hanako, and Momo Kogo. Maika pinned Momo Kogo in 8.5 minutes with what they are calling the Sasanka. I don't know what that is.
Uh oh, that's the cross arm straight jacket SGO.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, we're just pulling out the C tier finishers today. Um,
Oh,
our next
100%.
match was Small Waves, also known as Konami, teaming with Siri to beat Saki Kashima and Mirai in a preview tag for Sunday. And Konami got the win with the triangle answer over Saki Kashima in 10 minutes and 10
What's the
seconds.
winning percentage on that?
Shaq percent
What's the
though.
winning percentage on that? That's right. That's 100% right there. Uh,
All
yeah.
right.
Shouts out Konami. I didn't. This is the match that I wanted
Yeah.
to see, but I didn't have
Yeah,
time to.
that's fair. And then we got into GP action. We had a Blue Stars block match. Utami Hayashishita beats Mariah May in 9 minutes and 40 seconds with a torture rack bomb. Utami and Mariah are now tied on 6 points as of this match happening. So,
You want to know
yeah.
something? Mariah May worked me on
Oh,
Twitter.
wow.
Not me personally, but just like work like because I saw on Twitter like pictures of her giving Utami
Hmm.
the rose, and I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." And then her being like, "Wow, I can't believe Homegirl denied me. I feel so sad. She's such a meanie bobini." And I was like, "Oh, that's a shame. Poor Mariah." Turns out Mariah gave her the flower and then pooted her in the fucking
Yeah.
face. She
Yeah.
shot first. Like I was like, damn. Like I was not expecting that. Like I was actually taken by surprise because of like, you know, Mariah tweeting that it's like, I can't believe I was
Yeah.
betrayed like
She
this.
was
I
the
was like,
twist
oh,
villain.
poor girl.
She really, she,
Yeah. Yeah, she
yeah.
shot first, much like Han.
All
It's
right,
crazy.
and yeah, the match then was solid. It
It
was
was good.
like
It was
bare
good.
level Utami. I feel like, and I feel
Yeah,
I
which
sense
is better than I was scared
yes,
it would be. Like I think the early going of the tournament, like especially the Mina match, which wasn't bad, but it was just like, oh, this is the Utami we're getting. She's kind of shaking that. So this match was like good. And it didn't feel like she was like, not doing anything. It felt like she had something there. But yeah, it was definitely not like a try hard performance by really either of them, I would say. Um, it was just good.
yeah. And I feel like Mariah has had more dynamic performances. I praised her just last week for
Yes.
having such a variety of matches in the tournament, but even she was just kind of like very bare bones here. So yeah, they both just kind of gave it a solid effort, and that's fine because it was a fine match.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a
All
solid
right.
match
The
overall.
next match then was a Blue Stars block match. Azumi beat Mina Shirakawa in 11 minutes with the Azumi Zushi. They are also both on 6 points as of this result. Um,
I told
You did. You
everybody.
did.
I
I
told
didn't. I didn't
everybody
see the
last
vision.
week. I
I
said
did not see
this.
the vision.
Or
Yeah. So I was kind of interested in this one because like Azumi is the high speed wrestler and Mina is obviously the limb worker, and they kind of did that a little bit. Mina worked over the knee, but it didn't really come into play all that much. So it was a bit
yeah.
weird because I was kind of interested in how they'd play off the dynamic of maybe Azumi not being able to do the high speed stuff, but then she just did it anyway. Um, so while it was a good match, I definitely was expecting a little bit more based on the people involved.
Um. Oh, I'm not gonna say it. Yeah. Uh. It was fun. Like I thought some of the spots were definitely fun. I thought that there were certain instances of like them kind of doing really intricate and cool. Like I mean, even just early on, Mina went, like gotten like an oblique kick. Which first of all, you're an asshole. Who does that? But she started working the leg a little bit, and then she went for a like knee stomp, and Azumi just like bounced out of it and got a head scissors. I thought that was like a really cool spot. There were certain spots like that throughout the match, but overall, I didn't think this was like anything special necessarily. I think they've both had better matches in this tournament, and especially Azumi. And yeah, if Azumi didn't tap to the figure four, I don't know how in hell she thinks Shuri's going to. That's all I'm gonna say. Because she was like, like she was building in the next show about that UWF match. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you tap out, Shuri, because my figure four is better than anything." You couldn't even beat Azumi, homie. Do you know how many times Shuri's beaten Azumi? Like, let's be real. Like,
Uh,
you know,
I mean, not Azumi has also beaten Suri.
yeah. I mean, they're even basically.
Anyway, what is the? You were getting dangerously close here.
Oh,
You leave Mina alone.
you said that it didn't deliver on the level that you expected it to, or that you wanted to.
Yeah, because Azumi,
Which
this
no,
little
wait,
spot
wait, wait,
monkey, this
wait,
little
wait,
spot
wait, wait. There's no
monkey,
way you're going at
couldn't
me like
sell
this.
the
No,
leg
this is ridiculous. I
because
agree.
she
She could
couldn't
have sold
sell
it
the
better. She could
leg.
have sold it better. No, I agree. I'll admit that. I'll admit that she could have sold it better. I thought that was a bit. I hate it when people drop their limb work, and Azumi definitely did that. So that's on her. But I feel like every match this tournament where I'm like, oh, that's gonna be where Mina gets to cook. She hasn't at all. Like she hasn't been bad, but that's just been consistently what's happening. And I'm just like really down on that. Like, it's like, man, like, because like there were instances where I was like, oh, that's gonna be a great match for Mina. That's gonna be a great match for Mina. That's gonna be a great match for Mina. Even taking out the match that like I'm a outlier on, the Mirai match. Even taking that out of the equation, like there have been plenty of matches where I'm just like, oh, that should have been better from Mina. I mean, the Mariah May match, for example, should have been better. Like that, like that's all I'm saying. I don't think she's doing bad. I don't think she's anything. I don't feel no type of way against her. Um, I just view it as like I have been disappointed that she's been just good and not like really delivering in some of these matches that I know she can deliver in. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
How am I supposed to speak to you for the next hour?
I mean, give me a Mina
You know
match from
what?
this
It's fine.
tournament
It's
that's been
fine.
great.
You know what? Her and Mirai.
Okay, that's just ridiculous. Like you're wrong.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine. She's cooking elsewhere.
Hmm,
This
yeah.
this was all the fault of that high speed merchant. But yeah,
Compliments to the
Azumi got
chef.
the win.
Compliments to the chef. That's all I gotta say.
The match after that then was a Blue Stars block match. Giulia beat Mo Watanabe in 10.5 minutes with a Northern Lights bomb. This was just a nice little slugfest after we got over the Mina heat segment because Mina attacked her during her entrance and
Momo,
she was able to dominate most of the
you've
match.
got
Or
Mina on
sorry,
the
Momo.
mind, homie. You pondering her.
They
Ooh.
they start with the same letters, you know. So what am I supposed to do here?
So does it's
Um,
M, bro. Everybody's. Do you know how many wrestlers on the show start with an M? I'm just fucking with
Sadly,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
I am all too aware. Anyway, nice little slugfest once it got going after they did the Mina or Momo
Jesus
heat
Christ.
stuff. You know what? It's I'm done. I'm going. I'm leaving.
Oh my
Bye.
god. He's pondering her, Oos. He's pondering. Mina Shirakawa. No, I thought this was a really good match. I think Momo, and I think he did actually leave. But I'm gonna keep going. Um, yeah, I think Momo's just been absurd this tournament. It feels like she hasn't even like come close to missing. I think she's like the only wrestler in my match guide, which is a you know out of 10 level, the only wrestler who hasn't had anything below a like recommend this match level in this entire tournament. Um, because she's just so good. Her and Suzu are the only ones that like really have had all hits and no misses. Uh, so yeah, I mean this is really really good. Giulia, as I said, is working a bit limited. I think once that like becomes clear and you notice it, it's like, oh okay, I can kind of see where it's like she's a bit, you know, not bumping as hard as she would be if she was at 100% or at least closer to it. Um, but I still thought this was a really really fun match. At one point, Julia grabbed a sign to duel with Momo who had the bat, and then the sign immediately broke the second that like they hit each other. And so Julie was just like, you know, man, fuck you. I'm taking the bat, and then took the bat and whacked Momo with it. And I thought that was very funny. Is he back? Are you back, buddy? Did you
Yes,
leave?
I'm
Okay,
back.
you've returned. I was just talking
Yes,
about how
no,
Momo's been
I knew
absurdly
this.
consistent. This
No,
entire
I was
tournament.
here. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. I didn't know if you were here or if you
Um,
actually walked away. It sounded like you walked away. Uh, but so I just kept going.
threw a tantrum. But yeah, no, it was a good match. Not great, but good.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it was really good. This is probably my
yeah,
favorite match of the night. Because this show wasn't that great of the tournament matches. There,
yeah,
it was just fine.
yeah.
Um,
I guess
I will say the
because
post
I
match
didn't
was
see the
very
main
funny as
event, so
well.
I don't really know.
It's
But
probably between the two of those because I think Ami had a great performance. We'll
okay,
talk about that in a second.
all right.
I do want to talk about the post match of this match first though, because I thought it was very funny. Because Julia grabbed a mic and was like, "Hey Momo, you swear too much, you asshole," and I was like, "That's great. I love that." Because she's like, "Why do you only ever say shit? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, say other words, homie. Like, fuck you." And I'm just like, "Why are you getting at this girl for swearing and then like calling her an asshole and a bitch?" I think that's funny. And then Momo said, "Man, fuck you," and walked away. Uh, great, love
All
that.
right. Okay. Well, that was the last match I got to see.
Mm.
I only finished it, not long before we started recording. The main event of the show, though, was a Red Stars block match. Mayu Iwatani beat Ami Sourei in 10.5 minutes with a Hurricane Rana. So you did get to see this one and you have praised it
Yeah.
kind of. So yeah.
I think every Ami match that I've seen in this tournament, except for the Natsuko one, but the other three that I've seen, could use to be like 2 minutes shorter, and they would be like
Mm,
great. But all of them have that like maybe like 45 seconds of just nothing happening. Whether it's because she's like sitting in a bad submission or she's just not really, like whatever's happening. This had that as well, but I thought this was her best performance to date. In the tournament at least. I thought this was quite good because I think that she kind of Mayu sold her ass off for Ami and made Ami look like a monster. And Ami's lariats were good, her chops were good. She does the fast start in this match as well, so I think that's kind of her thing now. Is that she's just gonna rush you in the corner as soon as the bell rings, which I kind of like because the quicker she gets to the flashy stuff, the better. I just wish she didn't slow it down. I wish that the matches were shorter. But yeah, that was like a really really good match for Ami especially. And yeah, I thought about going in. It's like if anybody's gonna get a good match, like a really good match out of Ami, it's Mayu. And I was right because Mayu made her look like a G. She actually won with a Hurricane Rana, so as a flash, she like sneaked away with the win over Ami, which put her over more than anybody else is going to in this tournament, I imagine. Like I mean, Ami's probably gonna get upset in the next couple matches, but like really, Mayu needing to like just barely survive Ami was a good visual for Ami as a power wrestler. So this was a really good
all
match.
right.
Also,
Okay.
the post match was very funny because Mayu kept
Yes.
calling Fukuyama Fukushima, and the ring announcer was like, "Hey, that's not where we are. We're here." And Mayu's just like exhausted, like, "Oh, my bad." And this kid or this lady in the crowd said, "Don't worry about it. You're all right." And Mayu said, "Thank you. It's so sweet." And I thought that was very funny. Um, I didn't
All
do the
right.
promo justice. Go check it out. It's a
No,
funny promo.
there's only one Mayu.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that was that show. Kind of an okay show. And yeah, it only went up earlier. The other show, though, we did get to see in full. It was a pay-per-view. This is on September 3rd. Starverse presents 5-star special in Hiroshima, supported by SoftBank. This is in the Hiroshima Sun Plaza Hall, in front of 825 fans, which is a very bad number. Very poor from Stardom.
yeah, yeah. I
This
mean,
is down. This was down from their show there last year,
yes,
and
but to be
New
fair, they
Japan
don't
ran here
run
like
Hiroshima like ever.
that's true,
Like
but
this is still their second highest attendance ever in Hiroshima.
that's crazy.
Because I'm pretty
'Cause,
sure
yeah,
they've never ran a big show until last year, and last year was only a thousand. Like it wasn't like they
yeah,
were like popping off here last year. But yeah, it wasn't a great number by any means. I'm not trying to qualify it, but it's definitely not like I wasn't like I think you tweeted about it and like I think Velke and like there were people that like, genuinely like pondering what they can do to fix this. I was like it was like that's not their town really. It never has been. It's Konami. Like Konami has main evented almost every single Hiroshima show they've ever ran. That's
yeah,
like and that's cool, but like that it's not like a spot where they're going every single time and having like this huge thing. Um, but that's just me. I don't think it was that big of a deal. It was bad.
no,
It was a
no,
bad number, but I don't think it was
yes,
that big of a deal.
yes. I don't know. I feel like it's not great when you have 4 title matches. Skiri versus Mayu, Tam versus Kid. I feel like you would have wanted more. I did see the tickets were like really expensive though, so that's
That's
probably
also
what
true.
happened. Is just people not wanting to pay to go because the
They were like
I don't know the
75 bucks
economy is
for like basic seats.
yeah, like that's really asking a lot of people, so I can see why it was down. But it certainly just didn't look great when it was announced. Um, but anyway, onto the show. So we started with a tag match because, as I said, the card got chopped and changed. So what was originally a trios match ended up being Megan Bayne and Micah beating Rose Gold in 7 minutes and 40 seconds when Megan Bayne pinned Mariah May. Hmm.
I did watch
Um,
this. Yeah, there was a pre-show match, so I was like, "Where am I?" And yeah, this is the first match I watched.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Micah is in love with Megan Bain because she has a thing for tall ladies that team up with her. Um,
Okay. See.
she literally like posted on like Instagram like, "Oh, I have a major crush on Megan Bain." And I was like, "Okay, homie, that's you're saying the quiet part out loud. That's cool. I'm rocking with it." Um, First spot of the match, Micah groping Mina Shirakawa.
Yes,
That's
I
the
was
only note I
actually
took. That's the
I
only note I
really
took off the
I
group.
really enjoyed some of that because I was like, oh, they used to have a bit
Yeah.
where Micah really liked her boobs. And they called back to it, so I was
Oh, I
like,
loved it.
hey,
Yeah, no, like
yeah,
for them, from them, it's crazy that like what 2021 is old head now. Um, for all them old heads that that remember the famous YouTube short that went viral of Micah just staring at Mina's boobs for like 15 seconds straight, and Mina just looking at her like, "The fuck are you doing, homegirl? That's kind of weird." Um, that was for them.
hmm
And otherwise, this is like fine. Mariah took the fall. Uh,
I thought it was
we
good.
lost her.
Yes, we have. Um, no, I thought it was good. I feel like Rose Gold play off of Bane better than anyone
Yeah.
else in Stardom. Like they actively attack her, and I think that's what a lot of people don't do. They just let Bane run them over. Whereas these two, it's always like, okay, they are trying to figure her out. They are afraid of her, which is funny, but they're also trying to figure out how to win. And I think that's just really interesting compared to what we've seen kind of with Bane up until now.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it was a good match. I didn't have any problems with it. I thought it was
Yeah.
solid.
All right. The match after that then was a
I
Blue
actually
Stars
thought this
block
entire
match.
show, like there was no bad match on the show for me.
I would agree. Yeah, it was pretty consistent. We had a Blue Stars block match. Utami Hayashishita beat Momo Watanabe in 9.5 minutes with a hijack bomb to go up to 8 points. So Utami still on course to win the block at least. Um, I thought this was like a miniature version of their title match
Hmm.
that they had back when Utami was doing V1. It was very similar to that, except Utami was a little bit more aggressive because obviously Momo turned on her in Queen's Quest a while ago, so she has reason to be aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, this felt like just a redux of that, but it was still like enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I thought this was really good. Like I said, Momo just hasn't even come close to sniffing a miss in this tournament yet.
Yeah,
Um, And yeah, I thought this was like the first 5 minutes when Momo like threw out her bat and she's like, you know what? No, we're gonna wrestle. We're gonna wrestle.
yeah,
That was like very classic Momo Utami. Like everything about it was like really a throwback to uh them, like you said, in that title match. And then from there, it kind of escalated to be a bit more of them now, with Momo using the bat a bit on the outside and hitting like a disgusting looking bastard driver um, that like dropped on her head. It was gross. Tommy hit like an avalanche air raid crash. It was like a whole thing. I was really really good, and yeah, Momo couldn't get any of her peaches off. So none of the tequila sunrise, or no, she got the tequila, but she couldn't get the peach sunrise or the peach thunder, and that meant Utami winning. This is a small
yeah.
point. It's kind of crazy how well Momo continues to protect both of her finishers.
She
Like
knows what's up. She's
Like the
very
Peach
smart.
Sunrise, even though she like upgraded it and she has the Peach Thunder, first of all, the Peach Thunder has never been kicked out of. And the Peach Sunrise has only been kicked out of by like sub 10 people, like at all. Like she just doesn't hit it. Like she's Razor Ramon in this shit, and I respect that out of that. She's like, oh, if I'm not winning, I'm not hitting it, motherfucker, and
Yeah.
that's dope. But yeah, this was a really good match. I
hmm
enjoyed it quite a lot. Um, the way I wrote it in my notes is that this was like a really good match that teetered on great. If it was just a bit
Pretty
more
much.
fleshed out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's why I was saying it's like a miniature version of their title match because that title match was great, because they had the time to really do what
Yeah,
they wanted, whereas this obviously they had to condense it, but I
they
did
have
think they
so much
condensed it
chemistry
really well.
together that I'm
Yes,
really excited for the next time to get a singles match, like an actual big time singles match.
should be fun. The next match then was a Red Stars block match. Tam Nakano beats Starlight Kid in 8.5 minutes with a violet screwdriver. Tam moved up to 7 points with her win, so she's in a pretty interesting spot in the red block. Um, I thought this was pretty good. Like they just did
Yeah,
shit, and I feel like Tam in tournaments will occasionally just do shit, and it's always really fun. And Kid was back to her old form, where she also was just doing shit. This was MK Sister
mhm.
Kid, where she was just flying
Yeah.
around and doing the best she could instead of trying to play
It's
the heel.
it's funny because she was doing that, but then at certain points you could kind of see that she like realized, oh, I have to do the character stuff, and she would just like get real like emotive for like 10 seconds and then go back to doing the wrestling. And I'm just like, what
Yeah,
are you doing? Just do the wrestling, homegirl. You're killing it. Like this is good.
yeah.
I'm rocking with it. Um, yeah, that was also really, really good. At okay, one of the first spots of the match, I need to call attention to it. Tam hit a back suplex, and Starlight Kid uh, took it on her forehead for some reason.
Mm.
Like she just, I don't know how it happened, but she just like landed on the top of her head, um, on the top of her face, and it was gross. And then Kenny Omega did the same thing like a few hours later, which was crazy.
Mm.
Um, Shout out to them. They both sold the shit out of it, and I liked it. And yeah, I thought from there the match just really was genuinely really, really good. One of my favorite kid matches I've seen in a little bit. I thought it was quite fun, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, it was just nice to see them both just like going at it. Tam
I also didn't
abandoning
know who was
the
gonna win because like
yeah,
there was like that
true.
kind of vibe of like, you know, uh, that's the thing about these live 5-star shows is that it's so fun because you don't really know what's gonna happen because this was Kid's elimination match. Kid got eliminated from the
Mm.
tournament. So, like, she got a Momo latch in, and I was like, "Oh shit, maybe she's not gonna get a look." And then she did. She kicked out. And I think that really added to this match as well. But sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, it's all right. It's just that, yeah, I think when Tam like leaves the emotional stuff behind, she can just be like really, really fun.
Mhm.
And Kid leaves behind the heel stuff sometimes. 'Cause it's kind of like when she wrestles Julia and Mayu, she just like
Yeah,
is transported back to being a babyface, and Tam seems to be the same, because they obviously they would have teamed together in Stars, and Kid would have been there when Tam turned on Stars. So it's just really
yes,
interesting to see her kind of face these people that she would have known back then, and just completely revert to the old Kid. Um, because I always feel like it's interesting when she shows those glimpses of that kind of old side of her. And yeah, that worked really well with Tam because this felt like some of their older matches because they did wrestle when they were in Stars and it was very similar
yeah,
to
they wrestle
this.
quite a lot.
So it was literally just a throwback for both of them. Like so that I just thought it was really fun. And yeah, Kid kind or Tam kind of embraced her after the match. She was like holding her hand, um, to be like, hey, we're still close, I guess. I don't really know what it was
Still
for, but it
connected.
was it was nice. Um, the match after that then was a Red Stars block match. Siri beat Mai Iwatani in 12 and a half minutes with a Shusukai. Um, and yeah, this was
I
great.
was so I was so invested in this shit,
Yeah,
man.
I feel
Like
like
I was
with
like
these
jumping
two,
in and out of my chair.
yeah, with these two, there's a lot of really interesting stuff involved because like these are you could make a case that they're like 1A and 1B for the top wrestler of Stardom. They're
Yeah,
equally the ace of Stardom in some ways. Obviously Mayu is like the more prototypical ace, whereas Siri is just the EO Shirai. I am the best
I
wrestler in this
mean,
company.
right now the funny thing is that in my like little spreadsheet for the tournament, it gives out like points for like matches, whatever. um by a 12-point lead, Shuri is in the second spot, and then Mayu's in the first spot.
Yeah,
So like nobody's even close to Shuri and Mayu.
yeah.
And it's like
hmm
noticeable. And that's just me in the past 2 months. Like that's it's funny, but
Yeah,
go on.
and they kind of worked this in that way of it was very tit for tat. Like there was no clear better wrestler. It was legitimate just Mayu missing the moonsault that cost her the match basically. So this was just like an epic Clash of the Titans condensed into 12 and a half minutes. As you might expect, it was great because these two are just exceptional. What I kind of noticed is that this is probably the biggest indication of how Mayu has changed her in-ring style. Because compare this to last year's match where Suri's dominated it, right? And I feel like every time they've wrestled,
Mm,
Suri clearly like out wrestles Mayu, and Mayu is always the underdog.
yeah,
But Mayu isn't really that anymore. I think they've realized they can't have
she
her.
can be, but she doesn't
Yeah,
need
I
to
feel like
be.
they've realized you
You know
cannot
what I
have
mean?
your like 13-year top star continue to be the underdog. She gets in people like Suri's face, and she will fight them.
Oh man, that was one of my favorite spots of the entire show. Was Shuri like hitting like a spinal check kick on Mayu as hard as she can, and Mayu just eating it, standing up and turning around, and staring at her. I was just like, oh my god, she's the goat. She's the goat. Like it was. I love Mayu, man. No, because I noticed this change that you're talking about because I think when I noticed it, that's when I was like, oh, she's like the greatest wrestler of all time. because I've always thought Mayu was phenomenal. I've always thought she was one of the best. But like recently, she has sort of like been more of like the what's a good example? Like, you know how Chigusa was different pre-retirement and post-retirement. Where it's like pre-retirement, she was pretty much always the underdog, even though she was winning most, like a lot of her matches. She always felt like she always had that mystique to her. And then after she retired and came back, she still had that, but like she kind of became like, no, I'll just kill you. I'm just the best wrestler of all time. I feel like we're entering that period of Mayu, and I kind of love it. Like I feel like it's such a like it's really putting on a whole nother layer to this incredible career she's already had. Um, and I agree. I think this match was kind of indicative of that. That's a good point out because I didn't even think about that, but you're 100% right.
Yeah, that Mayu no sell, huh? That was I thought that was awesome.
No, I went on a whole thing about how Mayu's in her post retirement Chigusa
Right.
era and how she's like great and how she's the best of all time and how you were right and it was a good point out
Okay.
and all that. But it was very funny because I was like I was so intricate with what I was saying and I was like, oh fuck, he's not gonna hear any of this.
Very upsetting. Anyway, I suppose I got into it. Great points. Great points, Dylan. Yeah. um, yeah.
Let it ride,
No,
let it
that
ride.
the like no sell on the kick was awesome, man. Yeah, Mayu is just ready to fight, and I feel like she has been for a while now. Like I remember the Mercedes Money match, she was beating that woman from pillar to
Mhm.
post, and she's kind of been like that ever since. And yeah, it's a nice twist for her. It does kind of remind me of something that I pitched to you recently was JWP Nagayo, because I do want to
Mm.
reboot VTG in some way, despite the effort that would take. But yeah, no, this was just like two of the best
Um,
in two of the best.
yeah, I mean it was a really great match, genuinely. I was stressed the entire time. I will let you know. And I was deeply disappointed when Mayu lost because it was so like it was so depressing to me because like I was like, man, like it's wild. She's first four eliminated. Yeah, because I mean outside of Saya, it's her, Ami, Kid, and Hadan are the four that are eliminated right now, technically. And I was like, that sucks, bro. Because you could like it's just sucks.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but yeah,
hey,
you know, it was a great
it'll
match,
be her
and
time someday.
will it? Like that's what I'm scared about, man. I
I
don't know
don't
how
know,
many more
maybe.
GPs we have from her.
I don't know, a lot, maybe, possibly. Who knows?
Hopefully,
Um,
God willing.
but yeah, that was a win for Shuri. I feel like their record is like all Siri at this point. Mayu won the very first match and has
Hmm.
not beat her since, but I would have to double check. I honestly don't know.
You know, I actually think they were tied, and now Sherry took over. Um,
Yeah,
so
I
maybe I
might be
should pay attention.
forgetting a GP match, but I just remember Siri won the world
They didn't
title
wrestle
match
last
last
year.
year, and she won this one, so that would be 2-1.
Yeah, so they're 2-1. There's you're never getting one.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so Maya hasn't beat her since 2020. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. And that was the end of the GP action for the night. This show was meant to have Hazuki versus Saya. Can you just imagine how amazing the show would have been?
You know, I just think about that sometimes because we talk about how great this tournament has been. They're missing like one of their top like five in-ring wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know, like genuinely, she's just not here. Like that's insane to think about. This has been such a great tournament, and it's like Saya Kamatani is one of their best wrestlers. Period. And she's just out for all of it. So yeah, it's really upsetting
Yeah.
because yeah, her and Hazuki would have killed it.
Um,
They always do.
yeah, that was the end of the GP action. After that, we had the High Speed Championship match. Saki Kashima defended against Momo Kogo in just under 5 minutes with a revival. Yeah, these Saki matches aren't really hitting, um, which is kind of
I
odd.
this one hit more than
Yes,
most
yeah, it was
of
better than
hers
the
have been.
Koguma one, but it
Yeah.
was still just lacking something. I feel like Azumi spoiled us. Like we just were so
A little bit,
we
yeah.
didn't realize just how well we had it with her. Because these are good, but she was doing great stuff, you know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Hazuki. I mean, even looking back to when we started, it's like Mary Apache, legend, but like she was a champion when we started watching. Or maybe you started watching a little bit later or before. Probably it was probably Mary Apache. Because yeah, Hazuki didn't win until like 2019. Um, and it's like there have been these times for the high speed belt where it's like it's on someone as a means to get them a belt and then, and just kind of like give it somewhere to be for a little bit. I mean, even you can probably count that as Riho as well, where it's like, okay, well, Kid and Izumi aren't really ready, but we're not going to leave it on death, and Hazuki's gone. So, yeah, let's give it to Riho, and she could just hold it.
Oh
And
yeah,
at
I
least
forgot
Saki's
that.
at least Saki is like wrestling. Like I'm not trying to disparage her whatsoever. I think she's like done well, and I thought this match was quite fun, in fact. Um, but the high speed belt has those eras, right, where it's like they'll be on like an insane wrestler, like an Azumi, like a Hazuki, and even like Kid had, I mean, except for that one match, had a decent run, a serviceable one. Um, but then sometimes it's just like, okay, well, we're just gonna wait until it's time to give it to the next high speed ace, which is obviously Meisera. So yeah, this was fun, and if it's the last successful defense for Saki, I'm not upset. I thought it was a good match. Um, in fact, I thought Momokoga did quite well, and I think she usually does quite well in these positions. So good for her.
Yeah, no, that's honestly a fair estimation. Um, the next match then on the show was a
Oh,
Goddess of
and one more
Stardom.
thing from that match. After she lost, Momokoga legitimately looked distraught. She looked like
Yeah.
she looked like she went through trauma by
Mhm.
losing to Saki Kashima, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
my only other note.
All right. The match after that was a Goddess of Stardom Championship match. Sori Anu and Natsupoi beat Mei Seira and Suzuki when Sori Anu got the win for her team with that one thing she does, the Tomps Tundra, or I think.
Yeah, that yeah
um,
that
I knew this would be great from the
I don't
second it
know.
started.
I don't know if I have the words, my man. Like I'm gonna be real. I don't like. I'm trying to find like the words to like describe how like beautifully well done this match was and how great it was and how much I love it. Um.
Mm.
So you keep talking while I think about that.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like the energy that they had from the very beginning was appreciated. They didn't just do the slow start singles pair off. It was like we're going for it. Suzu and Sarah were trying to energy their way to a win by catching Poi and Ano off guard almost.
Mhm.
And so like it was just frantic from almost the beginning. And then once you got down to the tag moves and the big spots, it was like, oh, this is awesome. Like I was just having so much fun.
I
Uh,
pop every single time I see a total elimination, and Suzu and May hit a total elimination. I just jumped out of my fucking chair. I was just like, "Yeah, let's go fucking move! I love that shit!" Like, oh my god, this is so good. Like, I know I sound like a blubbering idiot, but it's like this is genuinely like a top two, top three tag team match of the year for me. Um, I think the only other one is the Seven Up my Hime match. Like that's the only one that's like up there with this because I just thought this was like such a phenomenal match. I thought everything clicked. I thought May Sarah, who we've been watching because we watch the smaller shows, we've been watching and we've noticed that it's like, oh, sometimes she just like kills it. I mean, I've talked about it a few times. She wrestled in a match with like Kogama, Miyu Amasaki, and somebody else, and it was just like a genuinely like really insanely good match on an opener of a nothing show. And I was like, if they give her a slot in like a big time role like this, she's gonna kill it. And she did. This was like a absurd performance from May Sarah. And that's coupled with three of the best wrestlers in the company, right? I think May Sarah is going to be one of the best wrestlers in the company within a year or two. Oh damn, he left. We good?
yep.
Okay. I think Meister is going to be one of the best wrestlers in the company in due time, but it's like she was in there with three of just the best Joshi wrestlers, period, and she was the star of the show. And I think that's such a credit to her. This was so fun. Um, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this.
Yeah, I thought the Ano and Poi team were great. I think they
Mhm.
look great as well together. Like they just fit. I think Natsupoi has an uncanny ability to like fit with whoever she's paired with. Like her and Himeka worked. Her and Tam worked.
Yes.
Her and Ano works, and they're all three very different people. She's just able to like mold herself to them and make herself and them better. And
Who did she team with the first time? Was she in that tag league or was she late?
Um,
I'll check.
wasn't
You
it
can keep talking.
Himeka? Because we gave them a name and we thought they were awesome, and then they changed
I mean,
to do
shouts out
Mahime.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, Little
Shouts out
Big
Little Big
Planet.
Planet.
Because they were together, and then they did
She
Mahime. Because it was Crazy Bloom and them.
okay. She wasn't in the tag league in 2020. That's
Oh,
why I was getting
okay,
confused. Yeah.
interesting.
Um, but 2021 was the
L
Little
tier.
Big Planet run.
Oh, a Little Big Planet. Okay. But yeah, that well, she's just got like a great ability to be a tag wrestler and like work with her teammate. Their entrance is
Mhm.
great. I thought I'd miss out on the restart entrances, but they have a good team entrance and it is a religious experience. So I'm having a good time. And yeah,
Real talk. Who needs Kyrie?
after that Sendai show, nobody. I am so
Like,
over Kyrie right now. She did not try at all, and I was like, "Girl, go back to SmackDown. I don't care anymore."
I watched that one the Sariism tag with Kyrie, and I was like, oh, this is good at the hindrance of Kyrie.
Hmm.
Like this is not like she is not making this better.
No.
She is like if she was a different wrestler who cared, or even like if this was Kyrie from like a year ago, it would have been like one of the best tag team matches of the year. But I watched it, I was like, oh, this was just like a great match because three of them really give a fuck and like were doing great stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so who needs Kyrie? Because like her two teammates just had one of the best tag team matches of the year.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
and
saying.
she made
Um,
Venny house show Venny. So,
yeah,
yeah,
crazy. Um, yeah, I can't say. I mean, like I can. I'm not going to, but I could dive into this match
yeah,
so
we
deeply
probably
because I just
shouldn't,
loved
but
it so much.
it was great.
Um, Ano and Suzu also did some great stuff
Of
together.
course.
At one point, I stopped writing stuff down, and I said, "This is just too good.
Yeah.
This is such good. This is so good. This is so like just over and over again." And yeah, just really good. And then after the match, the stuff after it was really really funny too.
Oh yeah, Saki Kashima sensing blood in the water was so
Yeah,
on brand.
like Saka coming out like you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. I didn't know you were a loser. You could challenge for this. I don't give a fuck. You're a loser. I think that's really funny. And the new Tommy and Izumi, crazy tag, by the way. This is me and Scott. Scott texted me like a month ago. He's like, "Hey, how do you feel about Tommy and Izumi as a tag team?" And I was like, "I have been saying these motherfuckers need a tag title shot for years." And he's like, "I know, right? It's so good." And then they like did it. And I was like, "These motherfuckers, they're about to do something evil to me." And they're like buttering me up for it because I have trust issues.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt. I was like, this is too good to be true. They gave me one of the best tag team matches of the year, and then they said, "Oh yeah, you know those two wrestlers you really really like? Yeah, they challenge him next, motherfucker." Like, dude, uh,
Yeah,
Kino,
I thought
so good.
Natsupoi trying to match them was just this
Oh
is
yeah,
why I love Natsupoi. She's like, get me up, get me up, get me up, and Anna was like,
and just Anu
I am
just
not, yeah,
collapsing.
I am not doing it. But that didn't stop Natsupoi. She was full of the energy. She was like, Azumi Paisan, Utapoi, Baipoi, and I was like, this woman,
Utami,
Utapoi,
and then after that,
like,
Utami's so like aggressively and like I don't know, she was like giggling through it, but she was like so like distraught. She was like, "What is bipolar?" Like she like looked so upset when she said it,
yeah,
and I was like, "That's such a good bit. I loved
great.
this." With
Natsupoi,
Izumi on her shoulders.
Natsupoi is an icon. Um, and
Uh,
I will hear
she's all
no
right.
slander ever.
She's she's great.
She's fantastic. Yeah, that post match was just such a rush of fun stuff.
Mm.
The match after that then was a Wonder Stardom Championship match. Mirai defended against Konami in 13 minutes when she won with a lariat. First things first, I I'm overreacting, obviously, but I don't love the optics of the New Japan Strong Belt going last over this. Like, it's just not ideal.
Yeah, I also think that like in practice, it also didn't really need to. Like in the way that it turned out, Like
Yeah.
who came out to like do a challenge?
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
even though it was a Shuri challenge, like still who had the post match
Hmm.
really? Like Julia just said, "Hey Suzu," and like said she's my kid now to Reese. Like that was the post match for that. That could have gone into a semi main event.
Yeah,
Hometown hero facing the new, the next big thing type of thing, uh, and like reuniting this faction. Like that's such a that would be a better finish. And I totally agree with you on
yeah,
that.
because I just feel like the Wonder Belts have been presented really well since Stardom began. And you have this belt that was made for an essentially dead brand, and they panicked and realized Mercedes Money didn't have a belt anymore, and like that's going on last. And I understand it's Giulia, but it feels like a slight on Mirai that it's like, oh, you can't go on last. Like we don't trust you to do that.
100%,
So
which is not new.
no,
Julia has been going on last for no reason for years now.
true. That is fair.
The only time the Goddess of Stardom Championships went on last was because Julia was winning it. Her and Tam going on last over Utami and Saya, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, to be
What's the
fair, that was
match?
a hair versus hair
Um,
match. That was always going on last.
no, I agree, but like that was like the one that very like verbally that was what started Utami and Julia's like blood, like them hating
Yeah.
each other. Was that Utami was like, man, fuck you for taking my spot at the biggest show. Um, and like she just has done that constantly, and I think that's kind of lame. I like Julia, but I think that's kind of lame. I'm just gonna say that now. I think that Julia should not be bigger than the belts.
Yeah. Pretty
That's just
much.
me. Um,
So.
you know, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
but it's fine. I just, I wasn't a fan of the optics, as I like to say. Yeah, I mean, Konami was the moment here. Like, there was a point where I was like, if they wanted
Oh,
her to
100%.
win, I would not have complained. Like,
They
she
could do it.
looks
Yeah.
fantastic. I think the gear is awesome. She's kept the contacts, which is as a great choice as well. Like, she was just very charismatic, like very obviously charismatic, throughout the entire match. Um, and then her work as well was great. I think she's found this like great midpoint between the fighter in God's Eye and the slightly sadistic side from Moedo Tai. So she's like mixed both of those
Yeah.
together, and she's probably at her best as far as work rate goes at the moment. Um,
I realized how because I was so apathetic about her
mm,
running away to tie, right? Like her singles matches just didn't like they would sometimes kind of hit, but like usually I was just like, it's like whatever. Um, I feel like this is like a mix of like all of her
yeah,
work in terms of like she really has the grappling down to a science, like it is flawless. Like her going out and like really studying jujitsu like committedly for a while like noticeably helped because she just was so fluid with everything she did. Everything looked insane. um Her kicks are better now. Just her vibe is just more energetic than it was in Oedo Tai. But it still has that, like you said, that sadistic style of it. um not to always draw attention back to Momo, but if Momo post Oedo Tai, whenever that is, can do what Konami is doing right now in this match, I will be the happiest
mm,
man on earth. Because it's like Konami used her time in Oedo Tai to make whatever's next infinitely better than like you said, this was probably her at her best. Like I've this is one of the best Konami matches I've seen in years for real.
I would
Um,
assume so. Um,
because Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, she hasn't wrestled in years. But no, like since everybody's perceived peak of Konami,
PCS
um,
basically.
like her match with like
Yeah,
Arisa. Yeah, like since like her Arisa matches or her match against Hana, like since, or her tag team matches with Jungle. Like since then, I haven't seen a match that has been so like well performed by Konami, um, like at all. Like she's just it was great. I
yeah.
love this match.
I will say the limb work to start was a little bit too Um, you know, it wasn't amazing. But she did grow into the match. Like
I
I felt once she got going, it was great. But I didn't love the start. It was just a little bit too much. Um,
I loved
I
the
don't know.
start, especially because Mirai kept
Yeah,
selling it.
true.
She didn't use
until
that
she
arm,
started, until she did,
like, except for
which I thought was funny because she
well,
was like, "Ah, my arm is fine
that's
now. I'm gonna
always
hit
how
you with two
wrestlers.
great lariats," and I was like, "All right, cool." Um,
Well,
yeah,
until the finish. Yeah, well, the finish is different because that's when you get like the in kayfabe. That's when like
of
the
course,
adrenaline,
yeah,
the whole thing comes in. Is that it's like that's like the point of like, oh, I'm gonna fight through the pain. I mean, Julia has a serious injury, um, and she's just fighting through, and like that's if we're talking realism in wrestling. I pushed my I don't have glasses, but I pushed my glasses to my forehead
right.
when I said that. If we're talking about realism in wrestling, I think that like the selling was super well done from Mariah in this match, and I thought the opening was great. But I guess agree to
Yeah, no, I just thought
disagree
once
here.
Konami got going, that was when I was really into it. Yeah, I didn't like.
I feel like that's always been your
That's
take
true.
on Konami,
That's
though.
true. I didn't hate the limb work. I just thought it was a bit too much. But yeah, I mean, she kicked her in the face, so I was always in. And that fucking what was it? A PK kick off the top or whatever you want to call it, or just on the top rope, hits him in the face. That is badass. That is
Mhm.
right out of Arisa Hoshki's playbook. Yeah, she
Yes, it's
yeah.
1399
And so yeah,
basically.
I was really into Konami's performance in this, and I thought she was like really charismatic. And if she wanted to come back full time tomorrow, she'd be fine. She's operating at a great level right now. Credit to Mariah. I mean, she's always best when she works from underneath. And when it came time for her to fight back, she had some really explosive offense. And her lariats were great, which they needed to be, considering it was one of the few things she got to do. So yeah, I mean, I thought they both
Yeah,
played their roles really well, and Konami got.
it's interesting that Mirai's doing it so that like the lariat into like a tight cover, like a roll up
Mm.
almost, is like her finish now. Because this is like the second time she's used it to win a big match. Because he beat Julia the same way, um, which is interesting. Like I don't know, I guess she's just not doing the high fly flow thing anymore, and I guess the cradle shock, the Miramare, just doesn't get the job done anymore. But it's an interesting decision to just be like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna hit the
cool
lariat.
lariat. Why not?
Um, Also, match started, Konami
Yes,
chants.
yes.
Loudest shit I've ever heard. Like them 800 motherfucker, even though the most of the show, the crowd wasn't like super hot for most things. Um, they were hot for this one. They were hot for that right there. Like it was the loudest chant, I swear to God, that I've heard from Stardom basically all year. Maybe not Korakuen. Korakuen's better, but still, like just insane chants. They were there for Konami, and yeah, I thought there was so much
Yeah,
great
no,
stuff in
it
this
was a good
match.
showing. Uh, Main event. Oh no, afterwards, we had all of God's Eye basically come out, and I
Mm.
was very unsure what was going on. But Suri was talking, and she was like, "I want a UWF rules match," and I was like, "Oh, who is she going to murder?" And out strolls Mina Shirakawa.
She's
Yeah,
so unserious, bro. Did you see? She is so like I love her. I like because I know it's gonna be great, and I know she can. I know she's a technician, and I know she could do it. But like she walked out and she was just talking, and then she did the bang to her leg, and I was just like, this chick is so unserious. This is insane. Sure, he's gonna kill her, even though I know she's not, because Mina's gonna like it's gonna be a pretty, I imagine, pretty evenly contested match. But like I was just like, oh my god, sure he's gonna fucking kill homegirl. That's crazy.
yeah.
But go on.
But yeah, she outstrolls Mina Shirakawa, and she accepts for the Nagoya pay-per-view. And God's Eye kind of stands tall to end the show. Well, not end the show, but it would look like they were ending the show.
To to go into the G thing. Sorry. I know I've been a bit long-winded today. But to go into the God's Eye thing, Mirai's basically like, yo, I don't know if you noticed, but Saki Kashima was not staying in my corner. She was in the middle corner because she supports you just as much as she supports all of us. So you should appreciate that. And Konami said, "You know what? I lost. I'll take it on the chin. Saki, you're all right." And then Saki just starts crying. She's like, "Hey, stop crying. You're no longer gonna be all right if you keep crying." She's like, "Okay." And then Sherry came out and was like, "I'm happy everybody got along." And then Ami comes out from commentary and is like, "Yeah, everybody got along." And then the UWF stuff came up. So that was the God's Eye reunion. Was basically just, hey, like Saki, even though you are terrible to her, Saki is still here for you and wants to be your teammate and she cares about you, so stop being an asshole. And then Konami's like, man, I lost, I should stop being an asshole. And that was
Yeah. Why is Konami just Shoto? Is that his
What do you
name?
mean?
Shoto?
Are you
From My
what media are
Hero,
you talking about?
the ice fire guy.
Yeah, okay,
She
yeah, I thought so.
was
I thought so. Yeah, yeah,
as you were
Icy Hot.
describing what she said, I was like, that's
It's nobody calls him Shoto. It's
I
Todoroki.
don't
What are you
know.
talking
Is there not
about?
multiple Todorokis? Anyway, never mind. Um, yeah, like as you were
Go on.
describing her, I was like, oh, she's just that guy, like because he would have that exact
Yeah. No,
exchange
yeah.
with somebody, which is very funny. But yeah, that was
There's so many no, because like there's so many Shotos in the world. Uh
I feel like
yeah, that
you.
I was just
I
like so
thought you'd
confused. I
make
was
the
like, are you talking about like
connection
Street
between
Fighter? Are
Konami
you
and
talking
him
about I thought
anyway, but yeah.
yeah, no, I could
But
see it.
yeah,
I could see it.
that is the co-main event. Um, Main event of the show was Giulia defending the New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Risa Sera. Julia won in 17.5 minutes with a Northern Lights bomb. And this was another good fight from Julia. The best spot of the match was from Risa Sera. That table bump was crazy. That was so good. The funk that table
Yeah.
made, like they were going through it whether they liked it or not, basically. Um, yeah, it was. I enjoyed it, but it was definitely like far from Julia's best effort. But considering she's hurt.
A lot of people disliked it for being sloppy. And I was like, I thought that like some of the
I didn't
sloppiness
really
was kind of
notice any sloppiness. I don't
like
know.
I thought it made it I I
Yeah,
thought it made it a bit more
they were
gritty
they
in
were fighting.
certain areas. You know what I mean? Like she dropped the pile driver. That was a big part. Was
Yes.
the Tiger Lily? She dropped the pile driver. Um, and then she's picked her up and just punched her in the face and then hit it. Um, yeah, no, I thought this was like a really well done match, and I think the story was really well done as well. Because and not to wax poetic, but since last week's episode, some stuff has happened. So basically, Julia said, "Hey, you should stay alone because you're better when you're alone. Like, I'm happy you got divorced, because you need to be alone to be good at wrestling." And I was like, she needs to kill her for that. That's not something that somebody can say to someone. Like, that's not okay. Um, but then they kind of tied it into the match, not with her husband, but with Suzu, um, because usually when Risa Sera's in Stardom, she's always around with prominence. Right. She's always had people around her, whether it's her seconds or as a trio or whatever it is. She was always there with people. In this match, Suzu, fucking traitor, was holding the ropes open for Julia and was cheering for Julia, and they were, she was the second for Julia the entire time, and Risa Sera like was noticeably alone. Like I remember when she like was like in peril, there was no second to like hit the mat for her, right? And that's just a very small thing. But there was no seconds to hit the mat for her to kind of like rally her on. She just felt like such a island, like just completely alone. And at certain points she would like just look at Suzu and just like hit a move on Julia, just fucking kill her. And I was just like, damn, like Risa Sera, like they're really making a story out of Risa Sera getting divorced and being alone. And they're doing it really well. um and then yeah, like it was a really great match. The Tiger Lily was dope, even though it was a bit messy. And then after the match, there was a nice little ice ribbon moment where Julia was just like,
Yeah.
"Thanks
See,
for
I
being
was
nice to
gonna
me
kind of go
when I
more
was
into
younger."
that because like I didn't think the match was anything to write home about,
Yeah, go ahead.
but this really felt like the closing of a chapter for Julia because short of Tsukasa Fujimoto showing up, she's basically put every demon to bed from Ice Ribbon. She's beat Suzu. She's beat Risa Sera. She had her draw with Mayu Kihi. Like they've kind of done just about everything they can do from Julia's past. So this really felt like a closing of the book on Julia with Ice Ribbon.
She
Yeah,
even had
that
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 match
one as
with
well.
Anu,
Um,
which was a draw as well.
so between that and like the promo after, where she was like, "I will make sure to guide Suzu from here," it really felt like very much a closer of the Ice Ribbon versus Julia chapter, which is much needed because it's a long time ago now. I think we can all move past it. So I just thought that was like more important than the match was that she was like progressing now to a new stage and also was like, here's what would happen with Suzu. Because obviously she is still homeless as far as faction goes, and her teaming up with Julia would be a big deal. So it's I thought that was really interesting was how this felt like the finale of Julia versus the Ribbon, um, especially because of that promo after.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that. See, I think you took from the match Julia's side of it, and I took from it Reese's side of it. Uh, just because like that like I just cared more because it was a more interesting story to me. Because I'm so you're right. I'm over the Julia Ice Ribbon thing. It's like I don't really care anymore. Her and Suzu are cool, and it's like I thought it was like a nice like historical thing, but like I was looking at it very much like what's Risa Sarah gonna do now that Suzu's gone? Um, Even if she never shows up in Stardom again, it just felt like like Sarah was like, okay, like I am alone. What do I do now? And she's like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking kill her. And I think that's great. I thought the match was really really good. It wasn't as good as the two matches that preceded it, but I thought this was still like a suitable end to a very very good show for me.
Yeah, I mean, not every show closer has to be amazing. Like a good match is a good match, and especially when it is such a final moment of something. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty competent way to close the show.
I will say the Suzu holding the ropes open after Julia went into a magazine and said, "I'm happy you got divorced." Disgusting. Like that's just evil. Homegirl is an evil human being.
That's why a lot of us love her, though. She is messy,
Yeah.
um, and that's great.
Shouts out Zapsky.
Um,
Great video. Check
yeah,
that out.
and that's pretty much it from that pay-per-view. We do have two shows to preview, one of which is quite important, and the other is a
Mm.
Dream Tag special, which is kind of random. So the first one is on September 9th. This is Starverse Presents 5-Star GP 2023 in Corkin, supported by SoftBank. In on the show, is there any like undercard stuff, or is it
There is
just
undercard stuff.
GP? There is.
It's
Wow.
yeah.
Right,
There's actually a lot.
Lady C and Hina versus Miyu Amasaki and Hanako. All right,
All the
interesting.
stars are here.
Yeah. Syuri and Saki Kashima versus Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori. Okay.
Okay.
Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, and Momo Kogo versus Natsuko Tora, Rina, and Fukigen Death. Incredible.
Mm.
And another one. Mariah May and Waka Tsukiyama versus May Sarah and Megan Bain.
Is she gonna be
Well,
back from Thailand by then?
I guess, yeah.
I assume so.
Yeah, she went on her secret mission that I was like, oh, she's recruiting because God's or Club Venus is going to need new people. And then she was like, I'm in Thailand. I was like,
Maybe
well,
she is recruiting. It's not like she was recruiting. Um,
well,
I have
no.
always said that they should get more foreign talents from Asia because I feel like
Mm.
there's so like
Are
they're
they
always so
good?
quick to go to
Is,
Britain.
is there someone good from
I mean,
Thailand?
they're it's funny because I think I haven't seen any Thailand wrestling personally, but
Right.
when I do see like matches from like the Philippines and stuff, it's always they always are like, okay, now I'm going to America. Fuck you, bye bye. I was like, that's crazy. That was so quick. Like as soon as somebody gets good in a Asian country that isn't Japan, they just leave. And I was like, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah. Well, time for the GP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a Blue Stars block match. We have Suri Ano versus Mirai. I don't know. Is Mirai winning?
I think
Should
Anu
Mirai
needs
win?
as many points as she can get.
That's true. Doesn't that make her like white belt challenger level though? I
Is
don't
she
know if they
not?
would do that. Well, I don't know if they'd do it though, because she has to lose then.
Okay, if Soriano wins this, then Mariah can still hit 12. If she
All
won
right.
all of her matches. Uh, so it's not like she's like insanely down in the dumps.
Yeah.
Plus Mariah's just won, you know, three. That's not a big match actually. Uh, I don't know. I feel like this is an Ano win. I feel like Ano kind of
Yeah.
needs it
Yeah, that makes
more than
sense.
anybody.
Um, the match after that is a Red Stars block. It is Starlight Kid versus Hazuki. Um, so I believe Hazuki has to like win out to really
Yeah.
have any hopes
Which
of
at this point, I'm
anything.
not fully certain that that's not going to happen. Um, I am so lost in this tournament. I'm gonna be real. I have no idea what the fuck's going to happen.
Mhm.
Uh, but like part of me can see a Hazuki just because we have talked about a lot that like this year is the opposite of last year. And I think the thing about last year was that she was doing so great, she lost it, she couldn't find it back, and got scuffed from the finals.
Yeah.
I could see, considering I don't know who the fuck is winning, I could see Hazuki doing the opposite, losing her first 3, and then winning out, going to the finals and losing.
Yeah.
Just sort of so it's like the opposite of what happened last year, where it's like, oh, she might have had a rough start, but she saw through to the end type of thing.
Okay.
Um,
And we
so yeah,
would have
Hazuki's definitely
Kid.
winning Kid.
Yeah,
She needs to be Kid.
Kid is having a dreadful one points wise. But
Yeah, where is
he's on
Kid?
4. 2 and
And she has
3.
3
2 and
left.
4
She would have to
actually.
beat She would have to beat Shuri and Mayu just to get up to 8,
Yeah, that's really
which is not
not
happening.
ideal. So I guess
But I feel like Hazuki can't just like
she would win this one. I feel like you'd keep her alive. Like, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I've been saying this from the jump. I feel like the match that you're looking at is that Hazuki Suzu match, both of their second to
Mhm.
last matches. Uh I feel like you can't really eliminate either of them before that because it might be a little like I feel like that's I don't know. I feel like Hazuki should win this one, but like having Kid get so fucked up might not be what they want to do.
Well, I don't know. I feel like you can rehab Kid in a number of ways.
I mean, Starlight Kid could end at 6 or 7.
Yeah, and we knew people would like finish lower than usual, just given how the blocks were shaking out. So
Yeah,
she might just be one of the victims of that, and she'll be fine then come next year. But yeah, it's just it's an interesting spot that they have themselves in because yeah, I feel like Hazuki has to win this one just to keep her alive and
yeah.
keep somebody else in that kind of field in the Red Stars block. So I would have her winning there. Um, Match after that, these last 2 matches are where things get really interesting. We have a Blue Stars block match. There's a third generation battle. Is Giulia versus Micah. This is one we earmarked from the beginning, from like the day the schedule went out, as this is a very key match. Um, so
You want to know something crazy? Micah has more than half of her matches to go.
yeah, I just noted that she's 2-1-1. That's absurd.
She has 5 more matches to go. She's only wrestled 4.
So if she wins this, she goes level on points with Giulia, and basically is in pole position for the block. So maybe that tells us where this is going.
Huh. Trying to think. Um, where's Julia at in this tournament? Julia has Azumi, and Julia has Micah, and Julia has Utami.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, you've got about 3 points left for Giulia, I'd say, to pick up. And I would have 2
yeah.
here and 1 against Utami.
Yeah. Um, you, you think Utami is draw? You mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Azumi can get the upset.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think now, like when we started, we were thinking that there was like this very real possibility that Micah starts a faction of her own.
Mhm.
Now, I feel like the far more realistic possibility is the return of the DDM supergroup, and just adding big, medium, and small to that. Uh, and since Suzu and Julie are, already kind of homies, I imagine the day after this show on that Dream Tag show, Suzu might officially join DDM.
Yeah.
So I don't think Micah needs to win this at all.
Yeah, like they seem to have pulled back on a lot of the Micah stuff they were setting up. So, I mean,
And also, Micah, like we said, Micah has 5 points, and she has after this 4 matches to go.
yeah.
So she can still get up to what an insane amount of
Mhm.
points. I don't feel like doing all the math right now. She could still win. Like she's nowhere near out of contention. She could still get up to like 14 points. Or 13 points. I think it's 13 was what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is a lot less must win for Micah than I thought it was once upon a time. So yeah, let's go with Julia.
All right. And then the main event is Tam Nakano versus Suzu Suzuki in another generational battle, this time in the Red Stars block.
See, this is a must win match for
I
Suzu.
think she does. I feel like
Yeah.
she's challenged for the red belt enough that I feel like she can win this and get a title match out of it. And Tam,
I also think she hasn't headhunted anybody yet.
yeah,
Like she hasn't gotten Shuri, she hasn't gotten
mm,
Mayu, uh, she can't get Saya.
yeah,
She needs
something.
she needs a win
Tam also has
from
to
one of
drop
these top
because
dogs.
she's 3-1-1. So
Yes.
she needs to
Yes.
drop some points. So I would have her drop here.
It's funny because when this tournament started, I'm pretty much all right on Tam.
Yeah.
Uh, except for the Kid match. I thought Kid might upset Tam, but other than that, I was I'm like, if Suzu does win this, then I'm pretty much all correct to date on Tam. Yeah. Yeah, I think Suzu just needs to win that. I think it's pretty
All
simple.
right.
Plus, that lets the younger generation win the main event
Yes.
of
Yeah.
the generational show, since they can't win out. Like Saya can't beat Mayu,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately. Uh, it's just a 1-1,
Yeah.
so it would be another draw. But Suzu wins the main.
All right. And that's that show. The next show then is on September 10th. This is the Dream Tag Festival 2023 in the Yokohama Budokan. So there is a pre-show match. It's a gauntlet tag. It's Syria and Amisore, AC and Miyu Amasaki.
How does Shuri not get a fucking? That's fucked up. When you think about who didn't get voted in to get a teammate, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tam also didn't get voted in.
Yeah, wait,
I
she.
don't think. Yeah,
Oh,
because
no, she.
it was Mina and Saya,
That's true actually. Yeah.
and was the
Oh,
consolation.
people spoke, and by people I mean the 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 guy booking it, because these do not seem randomly voted to me. But anyway, Syria and Ami, Lady C and Kevin, Waka Tsukiyama and Yuna Mizumori, Megan Bain and Mei Sarah, Ogama and Saida in a gauntlet tag. The actual card kicks off with Momo Watanabe and Momo Kogo versus Hanan and Mariah May. I really am just unsure of like what is gonna matter on this show, like what's not gonna matter, because a lot of it just seems non-canon. Like this is just a show they're doing for the novelty, the Dream Tag. Because I can't see much having.
Some of it's like preview stuff.
Kind of, yeah.
I think most of it
This one
matters.
doesn't seem
This
like it.
match
Yeah,
does,
this is just a
obviously.
match, and like Kogo could lose, Hanan might lose. This feels like this feels like the comedy match where Hanan like does Club Venus stuff, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, wow!"
Yeah.
And then yeah, like Momo Kogo gets beat or something.
See, the thing is that like with Momo Watanabe is that there were so many great
Mhm.
options for her, but we all have seen her all-star tag team
Yeah.
matches, and they've all sucked. Um, Especially thinking about that one where she tagged with Hazuki, and it was just
Oh
so lame because
yeah,
she was
dude!
just
Right after
so
the turn.
heelish. Yeah, and like that was where I was like, okay, there's no hope.
Mm.
Um, so like her just putting her in this random match with Momo because they're both named Momo, like that's probably for the best. Because like a Momo's reunion here would suck ass because you know how that would turn out. Um, it wouldn't be actual wrestling; it would just be. So yeah, I mean, like this match definitely doesn't matter, especially with Mariah May leaving. They're not really building to like a anything more than the Mariah May Hanan match at the end of the tournament. Like, that's nothing. That's not going to be followed up on, right? So this doesn't matter at all, really. But Hanan and Mariah May is going to be a cool team.
Right. The match after that is Hazuki and Natsuko Tora versus Nanai Takahashi and Rocca. This feels like a setup for Rocca to lose. So Hazuki and
You have a different
what?
lineup than I do.
Oh shit! Yeah, I
Because mine
skipped it. I
before
skipped
that
it. Yeah,
goes
sorry.
to a different match.
Mariah and
Oh,
Mai
okay, okay,
Sakurai
okay.
versus Rina and Hina. Yes, this is the novelty of seeing Rina and Hina together. They'll probably do an odd couple spot or two, and Mariah and Mai Sakurai have been kind of feuding on and off since the DM. Yeah.
Mariah's turn.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of it. It's like, oh, the rivals are teaming up, but like only one of them are really.
But they're also kind of homies
Yeah.
in a weird
But
way
Rina and
because
Nina are the only
they
one
kind of
with
have love
like
for each other.
actual opposites here. The other two are probably just there's no real thing.
No.
So either way, Rina and Hina are losing, and they will do some odd couple bits,
Yes.
and that'll be that.
Hopefully they lose. Hopefully they lose to Mariah and not my Sakurai.
Yes.
It's wild that my Sakurai just hasn't been wrestling like at all for like the past like month,
Yeah.
and I
I mean,
barely
good on her.
noticed.
Play.
Yeah.
And then we have Hazuki and Tora versus Nanai and
Yes.
Rocca, and yeah, I think this is Rocca losing, and Hazuki and Tora get to be like, oh, we're gonna wrestle soon, and but also we were in a Uedo tie, let's do a Uedo tie spots, and yeah, can read these people like a book.
They had. Oh man, they had a team name. Was it like Wild? Wild Monster. No, it was something cool. They had a cool team name and a cool team shirt, and it was atomic and all that. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be like fun for
Mhm.
me because I like Nanai and Raka's dynamic. I think it's super funny, and Natsuko and Hazuki were like, that was my shit back
Yeah,
in the day. So it'll be fun, but uh, Natsuko's definitely like hitting Hazuki with a thing at some point,
probably. Yeah,
much like Natsu did to Hazuki, because Hazuki just keeps,
keeps getting
you know,
betrayed, baby.
her past keeps hitting her in the back with fucking foreign objects. I hate that phrase. I don't know why I use it.
I don't know either. Anyway, the next match is Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa versus Natsupoi and Sori Ano. This was originally meant to be Mina and Saya, but obviously Saya is injured. This lends credibility to my theory that it was meant to be Azumi and Saya challenging for the tag belts, because she could have like beaten Boy or Ano here in like a preview. So that's just an interesting little thing to note. This is probably going to a draw, or Natsupoi loses.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like, what are we doing with Club Venus post Mariah May? That's my
Oh,
question.
didn't Tam say if
um,
they win here that
they'll challenge
no,
for the
no, didn't she
belts.
say that like if they win here, Club Venus can like rejoin? What was the match where she said that? Was
No, no, it was this match. It was this match. But the way that she said it was like, "Oh, if we win here, maybe we'll team up
oh right,
again.
because
Like we'll
I thought it was
reunite
being phrased as
regularly."
she was like, oh, if we win, like you can join again. Or maybe it was if Poi
No,
and Ano beat Mina and Saya, it was gonna happen. But I don't know, maybe it was a different match entirely.
no, no,
It was
no. It
for
was for
this,
this. It
okay.
was for this. It
Because
was
there
for
was
this. It was for this. For this
definitely some like
lineup.
thing of, oh, if you lose to us, you should probably just rejoin. Everybody was like, oh, they're not gonna have Mina rejoin, are they? And I was like, well, obviously not. But we're here.
There was a lot of like this match bred a lot of discussion about Mina and
Yeah,
Tam reuniting. Because I think it was like, oh, if we beat the tag team champions, I feel like it'd be a waste for us not to
yeah,
team up more again, for us to reunite. And that was kind of the wording. So I could see them winning, and setting up a title match for later.
that would then
Um,
require your world champion to
and like,
lose in the tag match. So
yeah, but
yeah,
Mina
but
can lose
your
though.
world champion is still losing.
Mina's lose plenty of tag team title matches. Let's be fair.
Really, you really just like
That was
what are
that
you
was me.
doing here?
That was
What
on
is
me.
this? I am
That was me.
I've had a
That
tough
was me.
24
Yeah,
hours.
that was on
Timothy
me.
Chalamet is off the market. Do you know how distraught I am? You know
I did
how
see
what
that.
it's
I
like?
did see that. I wept for you, Oos. I
Okay.
wept for you.
All right. Well, either way, this is either a draw, Nance Boy is taking a pin. Okay.
Yeah,
After that, then
yeah,
we
very
have
much so.
Giulia and Suzu Suzuki versus Utami Hayashishita and Maika. Hot take here: Julia's team is winning. Julia's team is winning. Yeah, I
Maybe.
think they're just
I
winning.
mean, it's hard. I mean, Julia gets back-to-back wins over Micah.
Yeah, and also she gets the first one over on Utami.
But then if they're doing a draw, which I think we both predict for that, then they can't have like I feel like that'd
Mm,
be a bad back and forth because then Utami
she'll
doesn't get
get it
hers back
eventually.
at all. Like tag team matches only technically count. Um, yeah, I don't know. One of these two matches were a draw. Like one of these.
Yeah, this one could
I,
be,
I'm
but
I'm more. I think this
I don't
one
know.
is more likely to be a draw, because I mean, even though most people don't see the outer two as likely, we have four potential winners
That's
of the
true.
5 star, going into this. Like on this show, they will all still be in contention. All still, well, yeah, Susie doesn't have a match, so they will all still be in
He
contention. All
literally wrestles
still
Tam.
theoretically favorites. Oh yeah,
Okay.
well she's beating
Oh,
Tam,
yeah.
hopefully.
So I don't know
Um,
though. I feel like you can't have Julia ask Suzu to join after a draw, but I mean maybe they will.
I mean, if it's a united front with
Hmm.
Micah. Like
Oh,
you know what I could see? You know what I could see is Julia over Micah on the first day, and then Micah just like is like annoyed or something, whatever. And as Micah does the next day, goes to a draw. and Mike is like, you know what? I understand your feelings now. We're cool. And then it's a big bash for DDM with
All
new
right.
member Suzuki. Um, even though it's this not going last also does give me like pause about whether or not she's joining DDM on this show.
See, it not going last is usually a sign that they're going to do a turn because they don't end with turns. So I don't know, but
Yeah,
Micah,
but who turns
yeah,
on who?
Micah,
Like, does
honestly,
Micah and
yeah,
Suzu
let's
beat
go.
the fuck out of Giulia?
Possibly.
Maybe.
I don't know though. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But there's this could be one of the main matches of the show.
You know what I love about our podcast is that we have so many takes and so many theories and so many like all that, but we always make sure to hit them with the but I
Well,
don't know though
it's impossible
because
now. I feel like
we don't.
we used to have a really good grasp on what would
We don't.
happen, and now we just don't because the thing, yeah,
At
because
least
now they'll be like,
vaguely,
oh,
yeah.
Micah keeps teasing her own faction, and now she's just not getting it. So, well, what are we supposed to do there?
But also it's really funny because and this has always been the case with Sunny, is that it's really funny because you'll be like, "Oh, like I noticed this recurring theme," and he's like, "No, you don't," and
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, okay," and then like 6 months later, it's like, "Oh, remember that recurring theme? You remember? You remember that? Yeah, it's yeah, you're right." And I was like, you mother, you made fun of me. You responded to my tweet and said I was an idiot. What's what? And that's
sounds
Sunny.
like personal
That's
experience.
a real thing that
Yeah.
has happened
Okay.
before. It is.
All right.
It is a personal experience that did happen. It was B Priestley
Oh,
and Momo.
nice. Okay.
I was like, oh, it seems like B Priestley ain't as like I feel like she's kind of like being, And he's like, no, you're no,
He's
that's
too
not
busy
happening. I'm
recording
just
the
gonna continue.
shows to take in all the information. It's fine. But yeah, the main event then is Mayu Utani and Saki Kashima versus Azumi and Starlight Kid. The appeal here is that they are both odd couples. So
Also, both former tag league teams,
yes, uh,
and they all they all debuted before
oh nice.
2016.
But yeah, this is the appeal of the
Like
show is
they're
like,
all
oh my god,
homegrown.
Mayu and Saki. Remember Saki turned on Mayu, and Kid and Azumi are rivals. I would imagine Saki and Mayu struggle to the win just because that's the obvious route. But this will be,
I feel like Saki over Azumi is
yeah.
pretty easy with
But
the
I feel like this will be
revival.
full of like the kind of chicanery that you'd expect from a Dream
Hijinks.
Tag
Yeah.
festival. So
It's also interesting because Saki's in God's Eye now, so like her and Kid are like
yeah,
not
but
cool.
I think Mayu will still hate her. I think Mayu will still be like, I don't want to be here.
Oh, 100%.
I don't like any of you, and that'll be very fun.
Okay, over. Do you think there's a chance that they have a beatdown spot on Saki Kashima,
Yes.
where all three of
Oh
them just beat the
yeah,
fuck out of
100%.
her?
They're beating her up at one point. Yeah, might all do it to Kid too though. They'll do
Oh,
it
I
to
mean,
both.
they should. It would be so great if Mayu and Izumi just start beating the fuck
Yeah,
out of Oedo Tai for no reason when I'm not even in Oedo
why
Tai
not?
anymore. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, you could do it as like all the baby faces on Kid, or you could do it on all of the quote unquote real wrestlers on the
Yeah.
chicken shit. Like I think those are both possible
Yeah.
and funny.
All right.
Yeah, this looks like a
Yeah.
fun show. I as somebody who loves tag team wrestling, I'm like excited for this. It's like it's not going to be insane, but I'm sure most of this could be quite good.
It's all right. I mean,
You know,
I know AJW used to do this, and it was very iffy. But I think they'll do it better than AJW did.
I don't think I've ever
Okay.
seen one of those.
Yeah,
I'm
they
sure
did
I
the
have, but I don't remember seeing one of
Fuji
those.
Cup.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. I
I
know what
think
you're talking
didn't
about.
they once pair
Because I
up
remember I looked at the
Nagayo
cage
with
match for one
like
of those.
Crane U or something?
Hirota,
Hirota was not in AJW, my friend.
possibly.
You know this.
I
But
know,
and
but no, but who the fuck did that? No, because I remember her. I remember her being
it
in
was
like a
definitely
really
like Nagayo
like.
and like Crane U or something, or Devil Masami, like one of the heels. And it was like, oh, okay. Um, anyway, yeah, that is that show. And I don't know if you're researching because you've gone quiet, and I never like when you go quiet. Okay.
I am.
Um, we will be back next week to discuss the Corkin and the Tag Festival, and we will look ahead to the 4 different shows the week after. God bless. Dylan, you'd want to find this info quick before I end the show on you?
No, because I'm so annoyed because I know there was it wasn't no. I hate everything. Yeah,
What are
no,
you
it's
trying to
fine.
figure out?
No, I want because I remember there was a show in the Budokan, um, an AJW shows, one of their last shows in like the big uh
Right?
venue, and like Chigusa was teaming with somebody very bizarre.
She did team with
I
Hirota
I
in a
wrote
big
about it.
venue, and it was against Aja Kong and somebody else. And that was like
Uh,
Hirota's debut.
yeah, that
Yeah.
that's all I was thinking
Okay.
of.
That was a
Yeah,
Gaia show, I'm pretty sure.
you sure?
Well, I assume the Gaia wrestler would debut in Gaia, but
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
not.
I'm probably wrong.
Anyway, anyway,
I hate looking dumb before I figure out what I'm even trying to talk about.
it's fine. It's fine.
'Cause
Most people don't know what we're talking about. It's fine.
this is true.
But anyway, if you want to stand, you may stand. If you want to sit, you may sit. Believe today, shine tomorrow. You decide what you believe in. Ijo.
Joe, I'm still looking for it, by the way.